So we're in the West Palm area. I know you're very acclimated with what's going on in Miami. Jimmy Butler, Pat Riley. It's been a bit of a back and forth through the media, through third parties, through the agents and everything like that on whether he wants to stay, whether he wants to go, whether he's been in bad standing with his teammates. We know he's in bad standing with management. This has sort of been a couple times now where Jimmy Butler has been in the limelight of negatively relationship with the higher-ups. Pat Riley versus Jimmy Butler. Where does Stephen A. Smith stand on this? Who, in your opinion, should take more of the flack of this? Because it's not the first time we've seen this from Pat Riley.
Genuinely speaking, fellas, mixed emotions. On one hand, to a large degree, it's about money. Jimmy Butler wanted that 2-year, $113 million extension that the Miami Heat refused to offer him. Feeling salty and unappreciated. That certainly factors into the equation. Then you look at the numbers and you look at the team on the court, a mediocre team, and you see Tyler Hero, Bam Adebayo, Haywood Highsmith being utilized more than him, usage rate at approximately 20%, where even though he's getting paid close to $49 million this year, his usage rate is the lowest on the team. Didn't seem to make much sense. And so in that regard, you look at him and you say, all right, there's reasons for him to feel a little salty, but in the same breath, you're getting paid the money that you're getting paid. Show up on the court, be all you can be, do all you can to make things happen. On the other hand, here's where it gets dicey, and I've known Pat Riley for decades. Eric Spoelstra's an outstanding coach. He's going to be coach for Team USA in 2028 if he wants it. He's their number one choice. We all know he's a future Hall of Fame coach and a champion, and we get all of that. But you let LeBron James walked out the door because you were a bit too rigid. How you wanted to do things affected LeBron James' desire to be in South Beach. You don't get Kevin Durant. You don't acquire him, not in free agency when, he elected to go to Golden State, not when he wanted out of Brooklyn. Damian Lillard wants to get there. Y'all can't get it done. You can't get Damian Lillard. And then you look at these kind of situations, and you're saying, this is Pat Riley. This is the Miami Heat. This is Miami. What the hell is the problem? This should be a destination spot for most players because it damn sure is in the offseason. How come it can't be that way during the season? And it leaves you at least asking the question, all right, Miami, are you doing all that you can and all that you should to be all that you can be? Because if you're not, then that's just even more of an onus on the shoulders of a Jimmy Butler, who, by the way, is a star caliber player, especially in the postseason, but he's not a superstar. He's not a LeBron. He's not a Curry. He's not a Kevin Durant or somebody. That's not who Jimmy Butler is. So he needs help. And if he doesn't have help, then put it in his hands, and since you're giving him the money, give him the ball too. There's a lot of question marks about things that's going on in Miami, and that's what gives me cause to pause, and that's why I can't be definitive about whose side I'm on with all of this.
Stephen A., isn't there something to be said, though, about Jimmy having a problem everywhere he's been? I'm not saying it's been his problem everywhere. I understand some of the reports on former teams, but this is about the fourth time Jimmy Butler has had a problem. And I understand what you just said about Riley and the questions there, maybe with Spoelstra and the hashtag Heat culture, but he should be able to figure it out with some of the best in the league, right?
Well, get this out the way. Don't add Philly to that.
Okay.
He was in Philly. He was totally fine. Ben Simmons was the problem, which he's proven.
That was a money thing, yeah.
Right. And it was a money thing. And they chose Tobias Harris over Jimmy Butler. And Jimmy Butler said, fine, I'm out. Okay, simple and plain. Minnesota and Chicago was a different animal.
Yeah, he didn't have problems there. He had problems there.
He had problems there. In Miami, guys, he took you to 2 NBA Finals in 4 years. I mean, Jimmy Butler. Again, he's no superstar. And he took you to 2 NBA Finals. So, again, he's not perfect, and I'm quite sure, especially now, he's a headache. But you got to ask yourself the question, yo, Miami, you can't get somebody better than Jimmy Butler? So you don't have to rely on Jimmy Butler? When you know that it takes a superstar, at least one, to help you get over the hump? You can't do that.
Yeah,
Can't figure that out.
I understand the point, but it's also it's not balking and not budging in giving him $60 million a year over 2 years to a 36-year-old player that's going to give you 50 games a year. So I understand both sides of that. And Miami's let him do that. Miami has let him give him his 55 games a year because he shows up in the postseason.
Nobody's justifying or nobody has any qualms with Pat Riley's hesitancy to give up 2 years and $113 million. Everybody understands that. He's 35 years of age. He's got an injury-plagued history, even though he shows up in the postseason. It wasn't there last year, when they lost. So a lot of people, they get that part. But in the end, all I'm saying is because it's Miami, because you have Pat Riley and you have Eric Spoelstra, and you have some talented players who may not be quite stars, but they can play, and they were good enough as a collection of players to get you to the NBA Finals. Well, what would you have done if you had a superstar? That might have gotten you over the hump. You might have had an additional title or two. Jimmy Butler's asking, how come you can't get that? How come you can't get that? You don't want to give me the money, but what are you going out to get so I don't have to do all that you might want me to do come this postseason? I'm really the least used player, and you got cats like Highsmith and Hero and Adebayo being more primary targets for the offense than me. I'm not saying they're wrong. I'm saying it's a legitimate question that warrants probing. It's a question that Pat Riley should have to answer, a question that Eric Spoelstra should have to answer. It shouldn't be we're above board, we're the first-class organization that everybody knows us to be, bump you and your feelings, along with the media and the press and the public out there. We do things our way. Well, if you're so confident in what you do, which they should be, by the way, at least provide an explanation that we can look at and listen to and say, okay, I get that point.
I see that. I see the point there. Stephen A., thinking broad scope NBA for a second, because I'm thinking from afar, I see the conversation surrounding the National Basketball Association this specific year, and especially in terms of usage and play style. From your perspective, somebody who covers the NBA, who has covered the NBA for the better part of 30 years, would you say that the NBA as a whole has a bit of a play style issue? People have mentioned the threes, trying to go to gimmicks, maybe the game's solved and figured out offensively. What is your perspective on this?
I agree with that, but I just don't think it's all the fault of the players. The NBA changed the rules. They didn't like the bad boy Pistons. They didn't like the Knicks under Pat Riley with Charles Oakley and Anthony Mason and Patrick Ewing and them emulating the bad boy Pistons from the late 80s. They wanted more finesse attached to the game because they deduced that it would be more attractive to the human eyes. And sure enough, they were right, at least for a period of time. And as a result, they did what they did to change the rules, complete form, checking, hand checking, and all of these different things. And so because of that, to induce more offense in the game, then a D'Antoni comes along with Steve Nash, and he's benching dudes for shooting mid-range jump shots. A three-pointer or a layup, nothing else. Or you're going to sit down next to me. That was D'Antoni's philosophy.
Yep.
7 seconds or less, shoot the ball. And you see guys jacking up shots at every turn. Even if you couldn't shoot, he wanted you to shoot. Get on the court and shoot the damn basketball. And you had a lot of teams mirroring stuff. So it's not just about the three-point shot. It's about the fact that we got people who can't shooting three-point shots.
And what do you do there?
As a result, what do you
do there? If you're the NBA, is there something you could do?
Well, first thing the NBA could do is stop being so stringent with defenders. Let them defend a little bit more. Let a little bit more physicality into the game now. Stop treating these guys like they soft as cotton now. Make them go out there and play. You don't have to revert back to the 80s and the 70s or even the early 90s, but damn, let them play, do something. Stop making people feel like they're going to get called for a foul for passing gas. You got to let them play. You got to be fair-minded in that regard. They don't do that a lot of times, and that's problematic.